Round 8, done and dusted. In the bin. The election happened. I'm suing SEN. Not really. But it's huge week. Things are falling down around us. And you gotta do what you know when you're stressed. And that is bounce that pill. Let's start with Around the Grounds, and we're going old school this week, folks. It's time for Round the Grounds. Primetime footy on Thursday night and Friday night replicated Logan Paul's energy drink, Prime, in that they were shit. Fremantle and St Kilda gave me depression, and North Bombers refused to score for 3 quarters. It was saved by a late run from North and the Roos recruit Finbar Maley, who had a chance to win the game but took 9 minutes to set up for his set shot to win it. I've never seen anything more North in my life. Finbar came to my show at Comfest last month, so we can only gather he was still distracted by how funny my show was. Bulldogs added insult to injury for Port, first making them go to Ballarat, then beating them by 90 points. Feeling sad and useless in Ballarat, Port Adelaide, what are you? Broden in 2009? I got swine flu that year. Carlton gave their fan base a nice firm go fuck yourself on Saturday when they doused any hope of regularity and stability for the club. The Crows are building a horror about coming to Adelaide for their oppositions, and that's only partly because they have serial killers who put you in barrels there. In a battle between everyone's least favourite teams, Pies and Cats, they went head-to-head in Saturday's blockbuster at the MCG that the world was watching. Well, anyone with KO, but not the general public, because the AFL fucked that, and now only people with Foxtel can watch it. That was a rib snorter of a game, seesawing affair, leaving the wider AFL public thinking, oh great, they lost, and oh no, they won. 4 words. West Coast are fucked. And on Saturday, as I drove over the Anzac Bridge on Saturday, I could feel its foundations tremble with the anticipation of the big Sydney clash. It was either that or an example of poor, corrupt state infrastructure from Sydney. Giants sucked and Swans are back, maybe. Probably not. I don't know. Then Richmond did what they're going to do for the next 5 years and be inconsistent. Hawthorn got their vibes back, and we're sitting here as the Q clash goes heavy in the rain, in the middle of Magic Round, honing the Brisbane area. Eat shit, rugby league. That was Round the Grounds. What do you think of the monologue?
I like it. I like whatever you do, mate. I'm a music guy. I love it when you rap. It's funny. But if that's easier for you, I would encourage you to do that.
I think they're all hard.
Yeah.
They're all a lot of my time. I did that on a plane today. But how good was the footy this week, Tom?
Yeah, really good. There was lots of close games.
Give me your game of the round.
I think definitely Geelong and Collingwood, undeniably. It was incredible, really.
What was great about this game? Because I was watching the other one.
Yeah. But that was a deal me and Broden struck. I said in the group chat, Broden, you watch the D's game and I'll watch the good one. It was... Two of the best teams. Was it top of the table? No, it wasn't because Geelong lost, right?
This is my hot take after watching the highlights of it. This is grand final preview, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely had that vibe. But the last quarter was insane, and the last 5 minutes were even more insane.
I saw that run of goals.
It was crazy. It was like old school Collingwood they're coming back. But not to the last 5 minutes. And it was like they kicked that real late one. I was like, yeah, but there's no way. It's like a minute and a half left. Then they kicked another. And then Jack Crisp got that mark and was lining up. And I was like, there's no fucking way. In the game that the guy is going to fucking beat the Jim Steins record, he's going for one after the I was like, there's no fucking way. You can't script this shit. Like, they just came back 3 goals in a minute and a half.
That was absolute insanity.
And then, of course, he missed.
He missed very badly. But that kind of, thank God he missed.
I know. It was just like, and on top of that, Collingwood lost 2 very controversial umpiring decisions in the last 2 minutes as well.
Pies did?
Yeah. So if it wasn't for those, then they may have won for sure. Like, that's how insane the last 2 minutes was.
Can I say something controversial? Watching it back. Mark Howard's call strange.
Yeah,
weird.
it really. I mentioned that in the moment.
Sounds like this.
Game on the line. Listen to the crowd. They'll tell you whether he kicks it or not.
245th straight game. Crisp
He kicks it here.
to win it from 50.
It's behind now.
Jack Crisp misses.
Like, so it's hard to say not in unison, but we're watching from a camera behind the goal.
Yeah.
And as I'll say it over him now.
Yeah.
Crisp to win it from 50.
The ball is clearly either going to go out of bounds on the full
Yeah.
or just sneak in for
Just miss. Yeah.
right? So that's where we know that now.
Yeah.
Set sail. Jack Crisp misses.
So as soon as this happened, I went straight to the Discord and was like, what a weird call. And everyone was like, what's weird about it? I was like, I think maybe the Collingwood players celebrating Jack Crisp may have thrown him from where he was in the commentary box. Because that was also odd. I like it from Collingwood to still celebrate.
Oh, that was very good culture shit.
Yeah, but I think I reckon Mark Howard was like, they're celebrating even though it's missed. What, am I not seeing this properly? That's my only explanation. It was so weird, right?
Yeah.
It was like a 20-second delay.
It was weird. It was I think from his perspective where he was sitting on the wing, it would have been hard to see.
Yeah.
But still, I believe they have their own TVs.
Yeah, watch the TV. But if he's watching the ground and he sees it and it looks to be swerving off to the right to him, and then all the Collingwood people are getting around Crisp celebrating, maybe he goes...
Or maybe he was just like, I mean, this wider public would have been just like, please let this go in. And maybe he was just like, I'm willing this to go in so much that he's like, no, it can't be. It has to go in.
They were barracking for Collingwood so hard, the commentary team. And to be fair, I was too, because it was just so insane.
Yeah.
But like they wanted him to kick that desperately. Desperately, Broden.
Yeah.
But on top of that, I feel like Geelong have a lot to thank me for, honestly.
Why?
I feel like I've put Danger into like top 2 or 3 at the club form. Like he is phenomenal. He was the last quarter. He was very simply the best player on the ground by far.
In the highlights I've been watching, though, Myercheck is he's still great.
Oh, yeah. Myercheck's great as well. And Bailey Smith was really awesome as well for Geelong. But no, Danger in the last quarter, it was like he was playing 1 on 22.
Your mate Bailey Smith, and we'll talk about him later. I've prepared a letter to Bailey Smith, Smith, because of his comments about Ballarat. But he had 34 disposals and a goal. Yeah, the huge game. That's a grand final preview.
It could be, yeah. It definitely had that vibe of it. And it was, if that's what the grand final dishes up, then you'd be stoked. Such a fun game.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Not for you, perhaps, but for the football display,
it would be a good game, but come on.
It was really, really fun. I really enjoyed it.
My match of the round, and I'm doing this speculatively, is the Brisbane Bears versus the Gold Coast Suns in a Q clash.
That is a very odd choice.
Because they're fighting it out right now. Brisbane kicked ahead a bit. We're watching it in the second quarter. I'm hoping that it stays close and stays good because I want to, even if the match isn't close, this is a statement game in AFL history.
Yeah, totally.
Because I was just up there on the weekend and it is fucking Magic Round, mate.
Yeah.
2 things I want to say about Magic Round.
Sure,
Magic Round, if you don't know, is the NRL's gather round. AFL stole the idea of Magic Round from NRL.
Yeah.
So it's in Brisbane. I was in Brisbane doing shows all weekend. The place is filled with milquetoast, bogan, league fans. At breakfast at the hotel I was staying at, there was 8 men my age, all jacked, wearing their league shirts and their hats, just sitting there with nothing to say to each other. Just this, like, it was almost like everyone was on a Bucks weekend going to watch the league, and it was just weird and awkward. Now, I could see that it was on in town, but the vibe there was nothing compared to Gather Round in Adelaide.
Yeah,
the AFL has gone, that's a great idea what you're doing. We're going to take it and take it to another level easily. I think the fact that Adelaide is a much smaller city than Brisbane has made it, because you're in Brisbane, you don't see the vibe at all.
Sure.
But Adelaide, you really feel it in the centre of town.
Well, yeah, there is no... Adelaide is set up to be like that city centre, isn't it? Whereas Brisbane's a little more sprawling. But I just think it's too early. We'll talk about it again at the end of the episode, I think. But it's been a dominance from Brisbane. I think they just haven't converted. 11 shots to 5.
Not true. I think Gold Coast have done really well to hang in here. They're down 11 points as we go to the half time. I think it's a big fight. And more important, it doesn't matter who wins in this game, because the other thing I want to say is it's Magic Round. The whole city is league, right? This is our shining moment. We've got State of Origin happening around it, this and that. It's huge. And in the middle of that, AFL's gone, we're going to go there too.
Yeah,
and they've sold it out. The first ever Q Clash sold out. So it's a huge statement thing from the AFL to do. And I realise why it's a 6 o'clock Sunday night game.
Public
holiday in Queensland tomorrow.
Yeah, it's fucking annoying, but it's fair enough.
Now, let's get to serious matters. Everyone messaged me about Fireball Friday and Kingy doing round the grounds. Mm-hmm. So I have hired legal support. I've brought in a solicitor and we're going to interview them now. You can go and see them live. I'll give you details to them after this interview. Bounce that pill. Sting, Tom.
You cannot do that. That is not on Stevie J.
So, Tom, my phone when I woke up on Friday blew up. Mm-hmm. I had 100 messages. Genuinely the first person who messaged me was Will Anderson. And he said, an avid listener of the podcast, he said, have you heard Fireball Friday doing We Didn't Start the Fire about Kane? Real round the ground vibes. And I thought it's going to be a big day. So what happened was, essentially, they have willfully and deliberately, because they listened to this, I'm sure.
Of course, yeah.
Stolen our bit. Mm-hmm. So I've hired a solicitor to start the process. Mm-hmm. I went out and I got the best one in the world. The person who's joining us now is a world-class solicitor. You can catch them at Comedy Republic. They're in the show. They're Mr. Oily. Please welcome Greg Larson.
Thank you very much. I think what qualifies me for this role is that I once contested a tram fine in court and represented myself, and I managed to overturn that fine.
How did you overturn it? Did you face the judge, or did they just say...
I went direct to the prosecutor. We did a deal prior to the... we did a plea deal prior to the thing where it played out. And what I managed to do was overturn the conviction. I think you've told me before you were in the waiting room and they said, just don't worry about it. Yes, correct. He came up to me and said, what was the reason that you, didn't get your tram ticket? And I said, it was too hard. And he said, don't worry about it. Fine's overturned. And yes, now currently I have since found out that fine has not left the books, and I owe a significant amount of money. And for years and years and years, they haven't chased it up in any way, and I've disputed that, and I've said I was at court and I don't have the paperwork anymore.
Yep.
That's going to be an ongoing legal battle that is very frustrating.
What did you used to do with Uber Eats?
With Uber Eats? Well, what I did with Uber Eats was that I found out that you could, if you ordered a McDonald's meal with Uber Eats, and a cheeseburger, for example, didn't arrive in that meal, you could go onto the Uber app and say a cheeseburger didn't arrive, and it would immediately issue a refund. And I looked into it, and this is a legitimate concern that I had when I got a meal and the cheeseburger was missing from that meal. And it was McDonald's who are legally liable, the McDonald's Corporation, which I don't know if you've looked into, but it's a shady operation. And I decided that I was going to continue to fraudulently claim that items had not arrived in my McDonald's meal. And I did this with the full knowledge that this could get me banned. And I one day ordered a family feast would be the best way to describe it. A feast in which a family could be fed in a packaged meal. And I went through the order and said, this did not arrive, this did not arrive. I ticked all the boxes of every item on the family feast. I ticked every single item except for one small Diet Coke, because I sort of assumed at least one thing would have had to have arrived for this.
Yeah.
And they refunded it. And then they banned me from Uber and Uber Eats the very following day.
So you're a fighter for the people is why I've brought you in.
Yes, exactly. And I have, in fact, done a legitimate. I once contacted the Ombudsman about menu log.
And how did that go?
That worked out in my favour. The Ombudsman did rule in my favour. The Ombudsman, once they decided to pursue the matter, and start legal proceedings against Menulog. Menulog essentially relinquished their claim and refunded the entire $49.95.
What was that meal?
That was a large double quarter pounder meal with a Coke Zero, a double McChicken.
So did you go to
with
Menulog
cheese
after-
and bacon added?
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Did you go to Menulog after Uber Eats banned you?
Yes, that's why I was with Menulog, and I was frustrated with the Menulog process because when an item doesn't arrive, and items would frequently not arrive. Like I got the McChicken, right? It was a double McChicken with bacon and cheese added, but it was a single McChicken patty. And that's not what I paid for. You know what I mean? And like there's no system in place in Menulog. And there was a whole host of other reasons why I complained about that particular meal and wanted a refund on that particular meal. And in the end, I contacted the Ombudsman or New South Wales Fair Trading and managed to get that refund. So that's why I'm happy to come.
And that's
in
why,
here
and that's why you're a champion of the people. You're here. You love rugby league, but I'm not going to hold that against you. Look, I'd love to bring you on as our full-time solicitor and maybe give you a cut of all of our profits.
Yeah, sure. That would be perfect.
Here's our first case. So as you heard at the top, a rival show has broken copyright essentially and stolen our material. Can you play that, Tom? If you just cut forward a little bit because I think they talk for a while.
We've thrown.
So it's
And We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel, is it?
that's correct. Yeah.
Harry Sheasel, Sonia Hood, Jai Simpkins, not that good. Dimmer, Harvick, Jacob Harper, Tim Taranto.
Holly Scrap and Adam Simpson walking on the television.
The vocals are turned up too loud for the mix, but yeah.
Go.
Poor timing.
Poorly mixed. Poorly mixed. So this is yours, or? No.
Okay, bring it out. So you get the idea?
Yeah.
We did that a bunch last year, because I sat here last year.
Yeah.
Because I write comedy, that's my job.
Sure.
I've read it for the ABC. I wrote a sitcom.
You've read it for the ABC.
I wrote it for the ABC.
This is the kind of thing you'll face in court. I'm on your side.
Okay.
I'm
Thank
just
you.
trying to, do what the prosecutor would do.
Okay.
Well, in this case, the defense.
So
because
last
you would be
year,
prosecuting them.
I was listening to We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel.
Yeah.
And I was like, hang on, these lyrics could be changed to be about what happened in the footy this week. And I'd not heard that done before.
Very clever, yes.
And I've looked around and trolled, and I was like, surely someone's done this before. And I couldn't find that.
Yeah.
And then this has come out this week. So that's where we are. What's your legal advice?
Well, my legal advice would be, the first thing you have to do is contact New South Wales Fair Trading.
What? Why in this circumstance? I understand it with the menu log.
They're not necessarily going to be the exact people to help you, but they can. Because if, like, in my case, for example, I contacted the ACCC, and they were like, "You've got to go to Fair Trade New South Wales."
Were you in New South Wales?
I was in New South Wales at the time. I was in Sydney in a hotel room. I was filming a sketch comedy series called "We Interrupt This Broadcast" on Channel 7.
Where can people watch that?
They can't watch that anymore. That's actually not true. I found out it has come back.
Because Channel 7 wiped it from the internet.
They wiped it from the internet after a Jock Zafrillo passed.
Yeah.
And we had a sketch in which he also passed in a comedic way.
They didn't just cut that sketch, though. They wiped
the whole show from existence.
all 15 episodes or whatever.
Yeah, because it was very, very poorly received by the Australian public.
And that's how I feel about this is,
Yeah.
look, a lot of people don't know about my football show, but some did. And the feedback for this was widely, what a genius idea.
Yeah, of course.
And not enough you stole from Broden.
The feedback to them, to
Yeah.
this podcast. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
How much can I sue them for, or what do I do?
Well,
do you know what to do?
Yes, I know what to do. You first of all, you need a valuation of your podcast.
$1 million.
At least.
Well, and even just saying that, that's already put the valuation to 20 million.
Okay, great.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just by saying it, it means that someone values the podcast to an extent. And a perfect example, I'll give you $30 million for this podcast right now. I rescind my offer, but the
That's
offer
what
was made.
Okay, so we're at 30 million.
You're
Great.
at 30 million. So it's a $30 million podcast. Now you have to look at the lost revenue. So obviously if this is a $30 million podcast.
So the revenue that this podcast generates?
The revenue that this podcast generates, but the future revenue that it would generate if people hadn't tuned out because they heard that.
Does it have
now,
to...
they've heard that and they've gone, let's switch to this other podcast because they didn't start the fire. Like they've got that parity, right?
Yeah.
And so you can't just look at your current earnings. You have to look at all future earnings.
Do I have to go Kane and Kingy in the morning as well, like from Fireball Friday? Do you know what that means?
All of those words are meaningless to me. They made me feel ill.
So Kane and
As
Kingy.
you said them.
Kane and Kingy.
Yeah.
On Fireball Friday.
Kane and Kingy.
Yeah. So
on
do
Fireball Friday.
I target Kane and Kingy and say, or do I target the network?
I want to know what Kane is and what is Kane and Kingy one thing, or is Kane
In a way.
is Kane something and Kingy is something else?
Kane is a powerhouse media force.
Yes.
Hated by many and loved and adored by others. Kingy is an ex-player with a laptop.
Yeah.
So it's Kane and Kingy.
Kane and Kingy. Does Kingy have a legal name, or is Kingy
David King.
was he christened the King?
He's become Kingy now.
Kingy. Yeah.
Kane and Kingy.
Kane and Kingy.
And it's Fireball Friday.
Fireball Friday.
And they come onto the Fireball.
And their podcast.
It's a radio show that is then clipped up and edited and shared as a podcast.
So it's not a podcast.
I would
It's a radio show, not a podcast.
available as a podcast.
Yes. And this radio broadcast, what is that on a radio network? Or
SEN
is this
1116, the SEN network.
SEN,
Sports Entertainment Network.
Sports Entertainment Network.
Yeah.
With Kane and Kingy on Fireball Friday.
I mean, you haven't helped yet. You're sort of just saying the things.
Well, I'm just trying to get the facts.
It's actually SEN Breakfast. Can I just put it out there?
It's
That's
the
the podcast feed.
SEN
But
breakfast.
that episode is part of Fireball Friday.
Well,
So
Okay, so the first thing you need to do is you can send a brick of demand, right?
I don't want to get to that kind of thing yet. I don't get to violence.
No. It's not violence.
You said a brick.
There is a letter of demand, and then there is a brick of demand. A brick of demand. It's not a violent thing. You don't smash someone's window with a brick. What you do is you use a very serious form of wood glue or some kind of glue to glue the brick to the window. So you haven't committed violence. But when they try and remove that brick from the window, the force of trying to pull it off shatters the window.
A brick of demand.
Yeah, it's a brick of demand. It's a legal term.
And then what?
And then you just run.
Okay. Well, Greg, thank you so much for your legal advice.
Sure.
And we'll touch back in with you about this in a few weeks, but it's begun. The process has begun. Thank you, Greg.
Thanks for having
Bounce
me.
that sting.
The man that likes planes, Jack Payne.
You can catch Greg Larson at the Comedy Republic. Tickets go on sale tomorrow for Greg Larson Live. Greg Larson Show.
The show. Greg Larson Show, the show.
It's going to be fan. I've done it a few times, and I've never been in a live show that had a bigger reaction than one of the live shows he does. So go and see Greg at Comedy Republic. They're going to be incredible nights. So Tom, I had an idea of what I want to do.
Okay.
This is the Footy Classified theme song. Do you know it?
Yeah, I know it well.
Get in key. Go down. You can go down the octave. Na 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 na.
I've lost all my ability to pitch.
Now I wanna write lyrics to that song.
Yeah.
I haven't thought of any yet at all.
Yeah.
I want feedback from people. Write in thefootywithbroden@gmail.com and we'll build the official lyrics for Footy Classified.
Yes.
This is all I've got in my head so far. You ready?
Okay. Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah. All right. Let me start again.
All right.
4 white guys from private school talking about football, and they've never met a woman. 4 white guys from a private school. No one is watching this. It's 3 a.m. and it's a bad show.
Is this the one that has a different cast? Is twice a week and has a different cast?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's good to be part of the lyrics. 4 white guys from a private school. One day has Eddie Maguire and the other one has Sam McClure or Tom Morris, and I can't really tell which one is which, and James Hurd is on it too, and for some reason Rory Sloan.
They're investing hard in Rory Sloan. He's on that Sunday show as well.
Yeah, they've given him a contract and we're backing in Rory Sloan.
Which is great because I like him.
And
He
in
seems
points,
nice.
he's had some good points.
Yeah, and
Actually
you know
a good
what? I
menu
watched
performer.
James Hurd as well is on that sometimes, I think.
Yeah.
And he has some smart things to say sometimes too.
Haven't heard from him in a while.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so let's work on that. But for now, give me a sting.
Gadget type operators.
Let's talk about Essendon North game. How did you? This was the worst game I'd ever watched.
This is funny. I thought you were going
Until the
to go for this as your favourite game of the week, perhaps.
Well, favourite game. I'm trying to get out of the rhythm of just going close games.
Right, I
You know
see.
what I mean?
You've got to give me that instruction. That's what you've got to do.
No, I think a close game can be a good game, and I would argue that your game, which was a close game, was the best game in the round.
Yeah, potentially the game of the year. So far.
Well, I think Melbourne and West Coast was pretty good. What did you take of the Essendon North game?
I think my biggest takeaway, I feel like every time I watch Essendon, I'm becoming a bit of a broken record, you could say, Broden.
Sure.
Zach Merritt, shut this fucker down. If you are, that's all your game plan against Essendon needs to be. He is their one-man army.
Shut
is their
this
goat.
fucker down.
Just put 2 people on him. Because in the last quarter, when the game was there to be won, it was Zach Merritt from start to finish. All the other players are good and bad and whatever. It's Zach Merritt. He's the one. That's my key takeaway.
My big key takeaway, and this is just intel because Finbar, I've known Finbar Maley. I've known since I haven't known him, but I've known his father.
So I've never heard of him. So
Yeah, so just through weird family friends, I know the Maley family a little bit.
These are the basketball players.
So his father is Paul Maley,
Yeah.
who was the mailman for the Adelaide 36ers.
Oh right, I do
He was
know
an
the basketball
American
people. Yeah,
import player for in the NBL in the 90s.
Yeah.
And then he's had kids. One is Annie Maley,
Yeah.
who is a star of the Perth, what are they called? In the WNBL.
Yeah.
But she also is now playing in the WNBA. I believe she won a medal at the Olympics in that 3-on-3. She's a gun.
Yeah, we saw her play
Yeah.
against Southside Flyers, right?
Yeah, and he was there and he came up and said hello.
And the brother as well,
yeah.
right?
No, the brother is Finbar Maley.
That was Finbar.
Yeah.
That was an AFL player who we met.
So Finbar, at that time,
Yeah.
was a basketball background player. And I'm
Yeah.
like, he's never going to play.
Right.
He's never going to play. Like, there's no chance because he's just, every team gets a few basketball background people.
Yeah.
And they're like, there's no chance this guy comes on.
Yeah,
and I was like,
yeah.
and so all of a sudden I'm watching, he came to my show and was saying hello and stuff. And I was like, and the way he was talking, he's like, I don't think I'll get in.
That's the energy he gave us when we met him at the basketball game was just like a lovely
And we talked to
young
Nick
dude.
Larkey about it the other day as well.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching it after I come home from my show and I turn on and I'm like, he's fucking playing. And not only is he playing, he's playing really well.
Yeah,
He almost won the game off his boot. He took like 1 second too long to start moving in for his thing.
It's just so sad.
So that is to say that North is building the right direction. I'm going to keep fucking saying it, mate. I
Yeah.
know everyone's doomsday, but they've got a lot of guns there and it's going to turn. So everyone just calm your farm.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I'm still a believer in North, but
Do you know-
this was a step forward for sure.
Do you know who shouldn't calm their farm?
Who?
Fremantle. Tom, they can't win away from home.
That's
They
what it's
can't
panned out to be, hasn't
win away from home.
it? Yeah. They're so good and so bad. And
So-
that's when they're at home, they're good. And then when they're away, they're bad.
Tom, I couldn't have said it better
That's
myself.
my breaking analysis.
That is my breaking analysis too. The Melbourne game would have been like 11 o'clock Perth time when you're like, oh, a bit early, This game, no excuse.
No excuse. Yeah, I really don't know what they're going to do. They need to sort it out. They've got the list to have a run at it, at least, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and no, we had a little disagreement on the group chat the other day about, because I'm like, and this is Melbourne centric, and I'm very sorry, I'm just going to get my
do it.
on for a second. If this is your list and you can't go away from home and win,
Yeah.
and this is your having a crack at a premiership team,
Sure.
can you afford to put 2 first-round picks toward Cozzy Pickett this year?
You absolutely
when you
can't.
can get him for free next year?
You can't, no.
Well, you can't give away. You can't.
But
Because a
yeah.
small forward is not going to fix this team.
Exactly. You can look at Shai Bolton's game on the weekend. Love Shai Bolton,
Yeah.
fantastic player. He's not changing he's not winning them games at this point. He had a very quiet game, which is unfortunate. But yeah, just having Cozzy in there is not going to...
Here's my
I mean, unless he played midfield, right? But their midfield's pretty stacked. I don't know.
Yeah, Andrew Bray, they're fucking, yeah.
But they're stacked on every line. That's what's so confusing about them, because their forward line's good. Tracy, Amos. And they have small forwards as well, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, I just said Shea Bolton.
No, they've got guns on every line. This is why everyone was saying top 4.
Yeah.
Now, my next question.
Yeah.
Why was this game Friday night primetime?
That is a great question. Like, even if Freo was in top 4, Saints were never coming for the top 8, were they? So this was always going to be a
bizarre
top of the table versus bottom of the table clash.
Just a bizarre choice. Like this game is Sunday, Marvel Stadium, depression.
It's so cool that Saints managed to flip the script though.
Yeah, no, Saints, well done, Saints. Yeah, it's so huge for them.
So good for them. And you know what? They just really fucking showed up when they didn't the week before. So they're also hot and cold. I feel like a lot of teams at the moment are super hot and super cold. Would you agree?
This is called round 8-mas. Do you know what I mean? This happens every year.
Yep.
I thought they were perfect. Now they're bad.
Yeah. Like Jack McRae's like recruit of the year almost, but he had a very quiet last 2 weeks comparatively. Suddenly shows up this week, 38 disposals. It's like, what the fuck's going on?
Wanganeen, Malera, Wilkie, Steele. Steele had a great game. Yeah. 22-1 goal. Mm-hmm. They just fucking kicked ass. And the game was over by the time I turned it on because I was at my show. It was over by the time I started watching it. Well done, Saints. A quiet night at Marvel Stadium primetime. Everyone saw you bash up Fremantle.
But the thing that frustrates me about both these teams is that it doesn't inform next week in any way. So I'm not now going to tip Saints for next week because they were good on Friday. And I'm not going to not tip Freo because they were bad. You know what I mean?
But this happens, I know we say this every week, but this is what happens every week, you know?
I know, right? But I do feel like there's 3 teams that are particularly flaky this year. Can I tell you which
the 3? Please give them to me.
I think it's Saints, massive flakes.
Saints are flakes?
Flake Mantle. And then Port Flake Adelaide.
Oh, yeah, Port. But that's the classic flakers, isn't it?
Yeah, but they're my 3 big flakers this year.
Is it possible that they're just being coached really well, Saints, and they are not a good list kind of situation?
Nah, I mean, maybe, but they have been so fucking shit the last 3 weeks. Actually, Carlton's on my flake list as well.
Oh, yeah, the big flakers.
Flaketon. But no, I don't know. I don't give Ross much kudos for this win, I don't think. Like, if he could get him up for this, why couldn't he get him up for the last 3 weeks where I was convinced that they would win some of those games and they were really poor?
Well said, Tom. Really well said. But good on you, Saints, for getting a win.
Yeah,
getting that
exciting. Hopefully they can make it consistent.
The next game I want to talk about is the Ballarat game, Dogs versus Power. They've built a fortress up there. Now, I want to talk about not the game first. If Footscray, the Western Bulldogs, are going to play games up there in a venue that doesn't have great capacity, don't play games there when you're developing half the fucking stand.
Under construct.
Because that looked dog shit.
Under construct.
Like 8 people at this game.
Yeah, they just didn't want to lose the contract, right? So
God, it's so Ballarat.
Yeah.
Like, come on, you fuck. Like, that looked like so bad.
Yeah, especially, they need to build it out to 20. I feel like the Doggies would get 20 there every time they play. Like, build it out.
What do you say about this game apart from Port? No, don't bother.
Yeah, I think Bontempelli's the best player in the competition. I think this is becoming clearer and clearer and clearer every week.
100%. Even for his shade he throws.
Yeah, Kennedy's becoming a really great player. I think this is not my words. I forget whose words they are. Might be Kate McCarthy's. But what Bevo's been able to do with depth on this list, I've sort of said it slightly the last couple of weeks as well, is they've lost so many fucking good players and they just keep emerging.
They're doing for many reasons, like off-field drama and this and that and injuries everywhere. They're doing an incredible job of keeping it together.
100%. And just guys like Fraser. Not
from Seattle.
Not salad and scrambled eggs. Not that guy. The F-R-E-I-J-A-H.
Right.
So I never heard of this guy till this year. And he's like proper gun. Kennedy was
I hadn't heard of him until about 9 seconds ago.
He's been really good. Kennedy discarded at Carlton. Really good. Like,
did you say discarded come?
Discarded from Carlton. You know, like we don't want you, like, see you later.
Right.
And then Ugle-Hagen and Darcy out. You would think, well, they're 2 best full forwards. They won't be able to kick goals.
Yep.
Like, remember what we were like about Brisbane without the tall guy when he retired?
Yeah.
Joe Danaher. We're like, who's going to kick the goals?
Guy.
Doggies doesn't bother them. No worries.
Yeah.
Whatever list they show up, they're just going to be good. I think I think this is the year to go for a flag.
So then Bailey Smith, after the game the other day, says, how good's playing in front of 82,000? And then that little fella says back, much better than playing in Ballarat.
Yeah, clearly doesn't like the Doggies, hey?
And then Bont comes back and says, interesting, we're still in his head.
Yeah. And then Bailey Smith put on Instagram 3 fishing emojis, as in to say, got him, got a rise out of him.
Okay, yeah.
Which, is a bit of a backstep, I reckon.
Now, I'm a Ballarat person, Tom.
Are you?
I'm from there.
Okay, I don't know
live there.
if this is going to go in a positive way or a negative way. It could go either
Bailey
way.
Smith is I've written a letter to Bailey Smith.
Oh, great.
All right.
Oh, I know this song.
It's from Epidemic.
I've used it before. One of our shows, I reckon.
Yeah. Dear Mr. Smith, I was recently made aware of comments you made towards the city of Ballarat at the conclusion of your football game Saturday evening. I would like to address the negativity implied towards Ballarat and the greater Goldfields community. You big, blonde, mullet-having fuck. Ballarat is a beautiful city with rich history and a vibrant present. It's best known for its gold rush past, which is vividly brought to life at Sovereign Hill, a living museum where you can pan for gold and experience life in the 1850s. But Ballarat offers so much more than just its gold rush history. The city boasts stunning Victorian architecture, a testament to its prosperous past. And in 2009, if you walk into the Cold Rock on Sturt Street and ask for a rainbow ice cream, someone in darted tracksuit pants will call you a tiny dick cunt. You can explore the heritage with a walk through the city's charming streets or by visiting the Art Gallery of Ballarat, which houses an impressive collection of Australian art. You cotton-on wearing fuck. For nature lovers, the Ballarat Botanical Gardens offer a tranquil escape with beautiful displays and serene Lake Wendouree. Perfect for a leisurely stroll or a picnic. You low disposal efficiency having Ballarat hating piece of shit. Ballarat is also a hub for arts and culture with a lively theatre scene, music festivals and a growing number of cafes and restaurants offering delicious local produce and wines. May I also highlight Gravy Spot, a late night shop where you can get gravy on anything. It's a hotspot for students of the university at Mount Helen, where 1 in 3 people legit have chlamydia. Whether you're interested in history, nature, art, or simply enjoying a relaxed regional city, Ballarat has something special to offer for you. It's a city that celebrates its past while embracing the future, making it a truly unique and wonderful place to visit. I hope you get the chance to experience the magic of Ballarat for yourself, because it fucking shits on Geelong.
I mean, yeah, that's true. And Block Music Theatre.
What?
There's an amateur production company called Block, and they do music theatre shows.
You fucking ruined my letter.
I just
Hit the sting. GWS have lost their mojo.
What do you think it is?
They're bad at football.
Yeah.
I think mojo is such a big part of the Giants, and they just couldn't get it going. They've lost the run. I think Stringer in the mix is making me feel weird now.
And did he get subbed on or subbed off? I forget. Subbed
On.
off.
On.
He got subbed off. Oh, he got
Off.
subbed on. So
On.
he started as a sub, which is weird.
On.
For a guy that has kicked
'Cause he
3-8,
keeps missing.
He kicked 3-8.
And I think he's fucking up Hogue's mojo.
But didn't he come on and kick 3? Which makes me think he should have been playing the whole game.
He's the Hogo mojo, and he's ruining the vibes. I'm just saying that. I think the vibes are down with him.
There's also a few little injuries going on there. Like Brent Daniels is so important to
Mate,
them.
they're
He'll come
stacked.
back.
I don't want to hear it. Finn Callahan running through the middle. Tom Green,
Finn was very
Hogan,
good.
Sam Taylor. Come on, mate. Like, Iden's in there. Brown. Come on, mate. Toby
that's
Green.
true.
Toby Green's out there.
I think they've got a few little important injuries, but I do concede that against a very injury-laden Sydney,
Swans.
they should have fucking won for sure.
Swans looked fantastic.
There
I
was a lot of mojo on it.
GWS officially have lost their mojo, and they'll get it back. They do this every year where they get shit for a while.
Yeah, I think this is not too concerning yet.
And then
Like, at least they were in it, you know?
Swans got mojo back
Yeah.
today. Mojo back for Swans, I thought. Congratulations to the Swannies.
Chad Warner's really back in a big way. Not that he went away. He just had a few quiet weeks. He's fucking back, mate.
He bought 19 houses in Perth.
Yeah. He's got to get that contract up.
When I say the top disposal getters for this game were Finn Callaghan, Tom Green, Ash, and Whitfield.
I was going to guess Whitfield, yeah.
And then the next 4 were Swans players. They had most of the ball but couldn't do anything with it. And their kicks into 50 were bad. And when you've got the fucking Coleman medalist down there, you must be better.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that.
Varley, the mojo of GWS is all I mean to say.
It'll be back any week now. They need to play like Carlton at the G or something. That'll rev them up.
But Swannies, they could be moving towards some good stuff, I think.
Yeah, I expect Swans to still make finals somehow.
Holy shit.
Somehow.
Carlton. Shit at football.
Yes.
Discuss.
I think they pretended and just got it done somehow the last couple of weeks.
Really?
That's my feel. I feel like this is the real Carlton.
They're the real Carlton.
Yeah.
I think going to Adelaide now, that's my big takeaway from this game. It's Adelaide are better. They're not the best yet, but they're moving towards being very, very good.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
And the more they win, similar to Gold Coast at people first, it's going to be a real fortress there.
Yeah, I agree.
Sold out 50,000. When Adelaide get going, they are a mammoth club.
I agree. I think Rankins might be my favourite player.
Why?
Just love watching him play. He's just like he might be one of the best players in the competition. I think he is. I just love watching him play.
Mine's Alex Neil-Bullen.
Yeah. No, we talked about this before, and I feel like Worrell must listen to the podcast as well because
Why?
He's a fantastic defender who had a fucking ripper game. Absolutely ate it up, demolished it, and I was like, now I know who Adelaide defender is because Worrell was fantastic. And also we gave...
Don't worry with Worrell.
Exactly. We gave Dawson a little bit of a drive-by about his disposal efficiency last week because everyone was potting him for it, and he came out and kicked 3 goals, had 22 at 83%. So
give them the flowers. We're giving the flowers of the week.
But also, if you now lose next week away, then you might be getting in the Flake Adelaide pile as well, along with your friends Flake Adelaide. So you better be fucking careful, mate.
So I had the best setup on Saturday night. Firstly, I went to a magical, magical place called Penrith.
All right.
Have you ever been to Penrith?
No, because someone in the Reddit said, I saw Broden Sydney show, and everyone was confused. And I was like, yeah, isn't Penrith in Brisbane? No,
Paddy,
in Brisbane?
have you ever been to Penrith?
I have not been to Penrith.
Okay, so 2 Melbourne people sitting here. Where do you think Penrith is?
In Brisbane. That's what I thought. I was confused.
Okay,
but
so you're currently fucked and last?
It's because Penrith is an NRL team. That's why I thought it was in Brisbane.
Okay.
But obviously they have New South Wales.
Now, where is Penrith, Paddy?
Penrith is in Sydney.
How close to Sydney? Where in Sydney? For if I was to drive from the CBD from George Street?
It's an hour away.
Can I say 40 minutes west?
It's an hour west. So it is GWS.
Right.
It is Greater Western Sydney. And I was like, okay, the West, right? Now, when I go to Sydney, I go to Marrickville and Newtown. And maybe I go to the Opera House. That's it. Sydney's really big.
Yeah, isn't it?
Right? So on a freeway, by the way, doing 110, took me an hour to get to Penrith.
Yeah, that's crazy.
An hour, 110 for an hour west.
And that's why they don't go to the footy games, bro.
At 10 minutes out of Sydney, 10 minutes, right? I went past GWS Giant Stadium. Penrith was another 50 minutes away.
Yeah.
Why don't they play out there?
That's why they don't. That's why everyone says SCG is hard to get to for a lot of Sydney people, and they just don't show up because of that.
It's so far away, man.
Yeah, it's difficult.
So I did a show out there in Penrith, right? Guess what the shopping centre, the Westfield Shopping Centre in Penrith is called?
Westfield Penrith.
Penrith Field.
Panthers. It's called everything in Penrith is called Panthers.
Because of the rugby team.
Because that league team, they've won 4 in a row.
Have they?
And all their players, 4 in a row, Tom.
Flags?
Yeah.
I thought Storm won them all.
Immense, profound dominance. And what's more interesting about the Penrith Panthers, right, is their team is all local boys who've grown up there. They've built institutional, absolute destruction of everyone else.
Like Gold Coast.
And when you drive through Penrith, it's just the colours of Penrith. It's just domination as far as the eye can see. Anyway, I did a show there. And I put on the big screen, because I use a screen in my show, I put on the election and I put on the Melbourne game. And I watched as Peter Dutton ate a big shit sandwich, and I laughed a lot. And then I also put the D's on, and I was like, this is the best night ever, doing a beautiful show in Penrith. The fucking Liberal Party's got a historic loss, and Melbourne's winning. And then West Coast started to kick forward, and I went, holy fucking shit. Thank Christ. I started to get that feeling in my stomach, which every football fan knows, where you're watching the game and you're going, oh, God, it's happening again. We're going to lose to the Eagles, the team who haven't won. They are worse than they were last year.
Yeah. I should have tried out
Harley Reid is a shell of himself.
Yeah, he really is. He hasn't really shown up this year. Can I say one thing? I'm sure you have many great thoughts.
Nah. Unwatchable game.
I think Max Gawn might win the Brownlow. 35 disposals. If he can't do it as a ruckman, he's leading the disposal getter, 35.
And 1 goal.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking good. He's
Paddy?
had an incredible year.
That's his career high for disposals.
Yeah.
35, yeah.
And can I say Supercoach? He had 198 or something.
Yeah, he fucked on Flynn, the West Coast ruckman. Flynn had 50, so he quadrupled Flynn's Supercoach score. Okay. It was one of Gawn's highest ever.
Yeah, 198. I even know in Supercoach. That's absurd.
It's absurd. It would be unlikely for a player to get higher than that this year.
Did you have him in your team?
No, I didn't start him this year. I started Goldstein and TDK. Not Goldstein, sorry. Sherry and TDK. Because I thought, not because I thought Gawn was bad, but he was very expensive, and I just thought, maybe not this year, so and I was just completely wrong.
You captain him, you get 400 points. Yeah.
Correct.
That's insane. And so that's like 4 good players.
Yeah.
So that's sick. But also, more importantly, when West Coast started to get their mojo going, he turned it himself.
Yeah, he's the one. And I feel like he's done this a few times now. That's why I'm thinking, like, surely the umps have given him 3 votes 3 or 4 times this year so far.
I think the Brownlow is the worst decision, and I think umpires shouldn't be criticised for the way they go about it, but they should not be doing the votes for the Brownlow anymore because they do a shit job every year.
They do. If Gawn doesn't get 3 for that, remember that. Someone bookmark that. If Gawn doesn't get 3 for that round, then...
They're bad at it. They shouldn't be voting. They should be focusing on doing a good job.
Imagine if it comes to it and it's like Ryan Marriage, 3 votes. I mean, good. He was good for West Coast, I guess, but, be outrageous.
Give me a sting just for fun. So the Hawthorn game today against Richmond did a Richmond thing, and it was bad, obviously, but they used it as a reunion for some flags.
100 years.
What, 100 years of flags?
No, just a 100-year reunion, and they got out all the flags. They even had Clarko there with a...
That's what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
The coach of North Melbourne walked out with a Hawthorn scarf on, carrying a cup.
Can I say something about this before we launch into the discussion?
I'm against it.
I've noticed this a lot this year. A lot. Libba was in the North Melbourne change rooms to give to talk about Caleb Daniel for his 200th game.
Yeah.
They had Sydney players come down and cheer off. Not Luke Parker. What's his name?
Jack Darling.
Yeah, they had
Andrew Gaff.
They had Andrew Gaff down. The clubs are not.
A Sydney player's cheered off Andrew Gaff.
No. So a West Coast player came and cheered off a North player, which I've never seen any of this before this year. I feel like the clubs are letting down the walls, allowing other teams to do stuff.
Paddy has more to say.
I remember when Nick Rewalt retired, Jack Rewalt helped cheer him off. And some Kilda supporters had some issues with it. This was 2017 because they were like, they're not teammates. They've never played together. They're cousins. But why is he cheering Nick off?
They're of the same blood.
Yeah. I think it's sort of cool, but it is weird because it's not in our game, I don't think. Like, this is the first time I've noticed it a lot, and Clarko stuck out like a sore thumb.
Would you as a Suns supporter have an issue if Dimmer came down for a Richmond thing?
No, I don't think so. In fact, I think it's cool, but...
Tom's Polly.
It's definitely... odd. Like
He's like, whatever feels good.
Yeah,
you know?
I see Stuart Dew in the rooms at halftime for Brisbane, and I go, "That's nice." Like I like it as a AFL as a bit more of a fraternity.
I think the Clarkson thing is going to be SEN all week.
Really, because he's not focusing on his.
If
team
North was winning flags now,
sure.
If North was dominating. Sure,
yeah.
I think that's gonna be bad.
Even Timmer coming out and talking about Bolto, who's not his player anymore, was odd. You know what I mean? Like, there's been a lot of it this year, I think, and Clarko might be the not the cherry on top, but the cream cheese frosting on top of a carrot
cake. Tristan cherry on top. Well, it's an exciting time to talk about it. We should ask Nick Larkey what he thought about it when he's on Our Mate this weekend. I'll forget. Because we've already recorded it.
Already banked it, baby.
And having already recorded it, makes me a big old Malaka. Tom, if you don't know, Tom goes out every week to our own and says, who are the Malakas of the week? Which is a light-hearted, silly, who's the silly duffers of the week? And how did they come this week, Tom? Did they come thick and fast?
They did. A lot of, I'd say, before I open it up, I'd say a little player-centric this week, which I love.
Okay.
But here's the first one, which comes from me, which which was interesting. I hated the political commentary from the commentators during the game. It really broke.
As in what?
It broke my illusion. I didn't want to hear Howie talk about how the election had been called. You know, it really fucked me up. I was like, I'm not. This is my escape from that shit. If I want to focus in on the footy, I don't want to be thinking about politics. Right. It was really odd. It really broke the illusion. I wonder if any of our listeners felt similar.
I really enjoyed watch. I to be honest, couldn't take my eyes off the election as it came in, and I couldn't focus on the footy.
Yeah, no, I was very much following the election as well.
Very rarely can I not, like, when Melbourne play, I get really hyper-fixated. And I was like, I couldn't be...
Yeah, no, it wasn't about, like, it was... I'm using the wrong words. It was just like, I didn't want that from my commentators.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
You know what I mean?
It is interesting, because usually I find they do usually live in a vacuum, commentators.
Yeah, and I think I like that.
If someone plays it back 10 years from, like, they will hear in that coverage.
Be talking about the election, yeah. It was very odd, but I guess they were having a bit of a laugh about how it was over, you know?
What other ones we got?
No, that's it.
That's the only Malaka?
No, I'm joking.
Wow.
I was like...
that's great unison from our audience. Yeah.
So I didn't actually see this, but this was overwhelmingly our number one Malaka. So apparently David King was cracking it at the umps after the Collingwood game and even asked Mark Blitzarves about if he thought the umpiring was bad, and everyone's just very upset about it. So we didn't really touch on it, but there was 2 massive Collingwood calls in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And one of them was a chase down tackle on Bobby Hill. No, Bobby Hill
chased down someone.
And then it was called a trip because he sort of went about the knees and then fell down. It was called a trip.
Right.
Whereas people were like, it
was a bit line ball?
Yeah, and David King said, in the spirit of the game, that can't be called a trip. That is a tackle every day.
Spirit of the game, though.
Yeah,
come on.
all this sort of stuff. So everyone's very upset about that, and I think that will be your SEN topic non-stop. There was also another Collingwood one, but I can't remember. Paddy, do you remember? What the
touched on the line.
Was it touched on
the line?
There
was like I think a Blitzarves was close to the line touch, and it wasn't touched or something like that.
It's not important. That was the trip versus the holding the ball will be the one that's...
I like it.
Someone said that you didn't give your WrestleMania review, your Malaka.
What, my review of WrestleMania?
Yeah,
was a bit shit.
Did you say you were going to do it?
I probably would, but I was just so underwhelmed with it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad Cena won the title back. He's held the title 17 times now, Tom.
Sure.
But it was weird, and the Rock it was weird.
It was weird. Yeah, the Rock didn't do what he said he was
didn't show up.
Yeah,
and the only interference in the big showdown, the final thing was what's that guy? Feig. You know, Travis Scott.
Oh, right.
It was fucking weird. It was weird.
Okay.
It wasn't earned. The storyline wasn't earned.
Yeah.
There's going to be 3 wrestling big main events in Perth.
Oh, yeah, fun.
Perth given
That's
WWE
very
money.
Perth. I love that. Someone said that, and I agree with this, but, you know, someone said having to watch Bounce on Fox Footy before, instead of, they didn't play the rev up for the Q Clash, they played Bounce instead from 6 to 7. So
that's what you get for doing a Sunday night game.
Yeah, so there was literally no build up for the Suns Q Clash. Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah, that's all the Malakas.
Hell yeah. I think I give it to Bounce.
David King for stealing your...
And I might get a Malaka for my match of the round being this game, because fucking Brisbane are pushing away here, and I hope... But Gold Coast finish well.
Nah, it's 13-6 in the wet. 13 scoring shots to 6 in the wet. There's no chance.
Suvas, Tom.
What was the one you just said?
Well, there was a Suva for Essendon because they finished with a score of 9-11.
You're right.
I know that needs to be called out.
Very immature from you, Broden.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we've talked about most of these, but we'll just go through them anyway. Jordan Dawson, back to his great self. We love that.
Good on you.
Max Gawn, fantastic
He's
game.
Suva of the year.
We didn't talk about how Joel Hamling had his first goal in 10 years and 97 games, but people were hype about that in the Sydney game.
That was that, and that's what the commentators were cheering about. Maybe that's fair.
Yeah. Worrell, there's a Crows defender who's very good. I like
Suva.
Worrell. Dangerfield is the best player in the league.
Suva.
Yeah, he could win the Brownlow this year the way he's going. And that's it.
Wow. Who do you give the Suva to, Tom? You decide.
You want me to decide?
Yeah.
I think Max Gawn this week, perhaps.
This was... Okay. Congrats, Gawny. This was a jam-packed episode. There was so much going on. We're suing.
Yeah.
We've got our own lawyer now.
Gold Coast of losing.
What a thing. Just tune in for Wacky Willie for a very special guest. It's a fun little one when you hear that on Wednesday. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week. Bounce that hill.